Hi everybody, you're very welcome back to Law Hero. My name is Jen and I make videos about the law. My new endeavour is to make my videos shorter. I realise that sometimes I ramble, so for me the discipline is in zipping my mouth after I've made a point and not rambling on to fill the silence. So watch this space. Today I want to talk about the legal profession becoming less attractive. Now this was a idea that was put forward by me being a member of the European Young Bar Association from the point of view of young lawyers that the EYBA put forward. And the first one is the practice of unpaid legal internships, which in Ireland has actually become now a moot point because it's illegal not to pay internships. But I suppose back in the day when I was coming up, I wasn't paid for any of my internships. I think the issue is rather that it is difficult to get into internships in Ireland because the majority of worthwhile, I'll call them, internships are based in Dublin. And as my friend pointed out before Christmas, if you don't have accommodation in Dublin, you're going to have to pay for that yourself, which might cancel out the income you get from the internship. And also in the first place, it's very difficult to get an internship in Dublin as a law student because of the competition, because of, there's more demand than supply for places. That being said, if you do need help to get an internship, you can always come to me. For a fee, I will look at your CV and cover letter, and then I'll kind of have a 1 hour chat with you to figure out what's the best angle to market you and try and get you in the door somewhere. I also do this as a UCC mentor. I just think it's really important to get some guidance when you're trying to get into the firms up here. The second area, and this is something I've spoken about in detail, why it's difficult and why the profession becomes less attractive, is because there's a gap between practical and academic knowledge. And this is because your first port of call as a student is to do an academic degree, usually in law. In Ireland, you don't need to do a law degree to do the FE1s. And then what happens is you embark on a practical application of the law, and then ultimately you train as a solicitor or a barrister. And the problem is the theoretical stuff you've studied at university is almost little or no help when you start off as a trainee. So that's a big problem with our profession. But apparently people are trying to remedy that at the moment by making the training phase shorter, and then when it comes to university, like I was talking for example to the Dean of Law last week, he is very insistent that university students learn practical law and practical application of the law at university, which I think is very interesting. For me though, the two big areas which make the profession unattractive and is making it increasingly unattractive is the mental health and workload issues for lawyers, and the second one would definitely be the remuneration. So let me just touch on the first one. So when it comes to mental health, there's been multiple studies done by the International Bar Association, the IBA, which shows that lawyers have poor mental health in general. We know this as well from surveys we've carried out also in Ireland. Of course, this is because of the billable hour in private practice, and just because you're not in private practice like me doesn't mean that your mental health doesn't suffer by being in-house or by being in a government organisation. It's not surprising that lawyers have poor mental health to me at all, because I've been in the profession and I've suffered. A lot of it is due to the pressure we put on ourselves, the high achieving nature of the people who come into the profession, the demands of clients, you know, the hierarchy when it comes to, you know, coming in as a trainee and working your way up to partner, and the sacrifices you have to make around your family, your friends, your sport, your personal life. And I would say when it comes to remuneration, I mean, so what I would say is that yes, clients are becoming more demanding, which means that lawyers have to offer their services at a lower price. But when you look at, when you compare lawyers to, for example, to primary school teachers, for example, you cannot complain about the remuneration. You can only really complain about the hours. You do that, and when you divide the amount of hours people do by their remuneration, then you may make a fair assessment. But even on that basis, lawyers are still paid better, especially in this country. And I would say there is an increasing trend of lawyers' income going up, but at the same time, there is also inflation. So, and the cost of living in Dublin is very high. For example, a 2-bed apartment is €2,000 to rent. All that being said, I think the profession is becoming less attractive than, we'll say, in the 70s, when the lawyer was like the priest or the bank manager, one of the pillars of the community, was able to take clients' funds and use them for their own property development, for example. Whereas nowadays the lawyer is seen more as a facilitator and kind of has, you know, like plays second fiddle to the entrepreneurs, the business people. That's certainly how I feel. And that's why I like working in a business, because I get exposed to these type of people. I would feel if I was in private practice, I would be too much of a facilitator. But then again, when you're in private practice, you become more of a subject expert. So it depends what you want from life. I would say you can make the profession work for you. I definitely have done that for myself. I love the job I'm in right now. I say that without a shadow of a doubt. I love the work I'm doing. It's a lovely mixture of commercial and legal. I have a fantastic work-life balance. I cannot say enough good things about my employer. I'm given a lot of autonomy. I'm trusted to do my work. I'm not micromanaged, and I've been given a clear path to progression, and I've also had my CPD needs met. Like, what more could a girl ask for? Yes, it's expensive to live in Dublin. Yes, it's difficult sometimes to, you know, go into town or whatever, because I have to get the dog minded or whatever, but I think it's a small price to pay to be in such a healthy work environment. I know people who suffer a lot in their work environment, so from my perspective, I can't complain. I do know, however, that a lot of my peers in private practice, they do suffer from the long hours. They do not get paid they do not get remunerated properly for the hours they're putting in. But I can't talk for them, I can only talk for myself. I made the decision 6 months into being in private practice to move in-house, you know, when I was 25 years of age, and I'll never look back. On that note, from my perspective, I can understand from an outsider's perspective how the profession looks more unattractive. Also because, you know, the generation coming up behind us, they're much different to us. You know, the TikTok, Snapchat generation prepared a lot of the time to do those crazy hours. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't necessarily think it's a good thing to work crazy hours. I mean, if you look at how effective you are over 8 hours, you're probably only really effective for 2 of those 8 hours. And that's why 9 to 5 doesn't really work. And that's another reason why people's mental health suffer in the law profession, because they have to put in the hours because of the billable hour structure. It's a broken business model. It works for law firms, but it doesn't work for their employees. I will stop talking now. Please, in the comments below, tell me why you think the legal profession has become more unattractive throughout the years, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.